SCAD alumnus Julian Robaire's fashion ambition took hold quickly, leading him from Savannah to Lacoste, and soon after graduation from Dior to Gautier, working with legendary designers in the mecca of couture. So Julian, how did you wind up in this wonderland of Paris where you actually live and work?
It was always a dream of mine, and I was so lucky. After I finished this technical program, I was able to start working at Dior, and I was very lucky to be with a boss who was dying to teach a young person, an apprentice. So we would spend evenings together, and he would show me everything that he knew about draping, about developing a volume, about not being scared to really exaggerate and you can always reel it back in, he would tell me, but you really had to put it out there.
So then after Dior?
I applied for a job actually at Jean Paul Gaultier doing something completely different than what I was doing at Dior. And I got a phone call one day from Jean Paul Gaultier, from the HR, and Mr. Gaultier was wonderful. We had a great discussion. He asked me to do a project for him. So I had to make a garment that I did. I had to make a whole garment. I mean, I spent hours.
Oh my goodness.
Hours, nights, and it was during the collection period at Dior. And so I was working very late at work and then coming home and working until 4 or 5 in the morning, which SCAD prepares you for very well. Preparing my special project for Mr. Gaultier, and he actually had 3 or 4 critiques with me and asked me to change multiple things. So I got to really work with him. And so there's so much exchange of knowledge, of creativity, of back and forth, trial and error, and redo and do and redo. That's something that he loves to change and try, and he's not afraid to make an attempt, and I think that's what makes him such a phenomenal creative designer and something that makes it so interesting to work for him.
So what do you do at Gautier?
So at Gautier, I'm a draper, but I'm a creative draper. I do a little bit of everything. I mean, from embroidery to print planning to volume development, to research of techniques that we're going to use, a well-rounded creative environment, and that is something that SCAD couldn't have prepared me well enough for.
So you came and talked to our students in Lacoste, and you explained the difference between couture and pret-a-porter.
This was something that I was very keen on explaining in Lacoste. Haute couture there's nothing like it. It's an art in and of itself. There's a savoir-faire and know-how that is just exceptional, just an exceptional, one-of-a-kind work. And so something that's very different, for instance, is that in pret-a-porter we make patterns so that we can reproduce garments after and in different sizes, so that it can be reproduced on a mass market level. And in haute couture, we don't even bother with the patterns because everything is one of a kind. So when we make our garments for the collection, if it gets ordered, well, we remake it for the client and it's no big deal. This is something that's part of French history. This is something that's been around for 200 years that is unique to the French culture. Only can be done in Paris.
You've actually seen SCAD Atlanta, SCAD Lacoste, SCAD Hong Kong, and SCAD Savannah.
And e-learning.
And e-learning. Oh, wow. Okay. What are some of your observations about studying at these different campuses?
Studying in Savannah really gives you an amazing feeling of being in this old colonial capital with all of this rich history, this beautiful architecture. Living in Hong Kong, I mean, it's a totally different vibe. It's so energetic. It's a huge city. There's so much to do. Lacoste is on a whole nother spectrum. I mean, it's in the middle of the countryside. You're lost in this medieval village. You don't know what year you're in. It's just fantastic. E-learning also gave me the opportunities to kind of modulate my courses as I needed to.
You try to give students a lot of different experiences, and you described those perfectly. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Julian, thank you so much for joining me here in the Marais, this beautiful little park.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for coming to talk with me.